ankles because they are pretty much your foundational joint for the rest of the joints in your body. When you have an ankle joint limitation, you can also develop knee problems, hip problems. You can have pain all the way up to your shoulders just from having an ankle joint issue. So that's why we're focusing on ankles today. This is really, really helpful if you already have a movement practice, squats, deadlifts, any kind of single leg activity. Balance is really big for your ankles. So improving your ankle's capacity to move in different directions and bend in different ways is going to be super, super helpful. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to grab my trusty little marker here, and we're just going to work on some full range of motion ankle CARs. CARs, controlled articular rotations. So in order to kind of show you this, I'm going to draw a little X right along my tibia here. Boop. Can you see it? Can you see it from far away? I'm going to draw a big circle around it too. So ideally, when we're doing our ankle CARs, is that this line is not going to move at all. So I'm going to do this elevated because I find it a little bit easier to do it elevated. You can do this sitting in a chair. You can do this with your legs stretched straight out. You can even do it with your leg on the ground if you want to, but you will want a little bit of movement to be able to point your toe down. So I'm going to hook one arm under my knee. This is a comfortable position for me. Go ahead and find a comfortable position for you, and we're going to do some ankle CARs. So you'll notice that this X is following the line of my tibia, and that's not going to move. So we're going to start by pulling the toes up towards the knee, creating a lot of tension. We're going to try and irradiate that tension throughout the body so that we can recruit all the muscle neurons in, all the motor neurons in our body to kind of help us out with this. And I'm going to hold my hand here to just help with added stability. So we're going to pull those toes up, and then we're going to kind of turn the ankle to the left. Notice I'm not turning my knee and everything with it, just using the ankle from here. I'm going to start to point the toe and scoop my way around. Really trying to make a full circle here. You'll notice that your knee may want to turn here. Don't let it turn. Just use that ankle, point, point, point. And at some point, you might find a point where your foot just kind of shoots up in one direction and doesn't want to move slowly through. Those are the sticky areas that you want to kind of focus on because that's where you have a little bit of a limitation. Okay, coming back around, we're going to do 5 of these in one direction. Scooping and rolling down through. Notice where your circle becomes a square. Around, around, around. Now lifting back up. I'm feeling all these muscles in my calf start to tense up. And here we're using this muscle, our anterior tibialis, to kind of pull our toes back up and around. Number 3, try and go at this pace. I felt a little like tendon pull there that felt very strange. Up and around, you might feel some cracking here, but avoid the temptation to kind of just do this. We're really trying to find our full range of motion here. Oh, that is like the hardest part for me, is that around that bend there. Good. Okay, now that we've done 5 in that direction, let's do 5 in the other direction. Scoop around, point, 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 point. Might feel a little bit weird. Sometimes I get a little bit of cramping in my arch. And that is just because I'm not used to having so much tension and focusing so hard on that area. My motor neurons are kind of just like going haywire. They like don't know what to think because they're not used to having everything fire so much in that area. And I'm still getting cramping, and I do these quite often. So, you know, it might take a little bit of time for your body to get used to this movement. Just be patient. And this is a good time to kind of explore what you're feeling throughout this ankle. Maybe you have some tightness, maybe you have some clicking. Kind of just like feel out where the little tricky spots are. Did I do 5? I feel like that was 5. Good. Okay, let's switch to the other side. If you need to adjust your seating position, go ahead and do that. We'll give you another X, because I kind of like this as just a visual aid for me as well. Boop. Here we go. And notice when we start this other side, what feels different about this ankle. Maybe you notice, hey, wait, this ankle is a lot tighter and this is the one that I always roll. Well, that's probably connected, so keep an eye on those little things. Ooh, my range of motion is much smaller in this ankle because I had an injury a couple years ago. You'll notice this like little knee hold is actually just a headlock, but it's a good tool to kind of stabilize here. You can also create tension by kind of squeezing your forearms. All right, we're doing 5 and 5 in each direction. So when we peel our toes back, we're going to start in the other direction now. When we peel our toes back, this is called plantar flexion. And then when we point our toes downward, did I get it wrong? I'm sorry. This plantar flexion is when we point our toes down like in a ballet point. And when we peel our toes back, that is called dorsiflexion. I always say the opposite first. Good, so really pull those toes back. Dorsiflexion is important for our squats because we need to be able to push our knees over our toes to a certain extent. Plantar flexion is important for like, whoops, I just started going in the wrong direction for no reason. Is important for like jumping because we need to be able to extend that foot all the way up if we're trying to go for height. Good, okay, nice job with those cars. Now we're gonna get into some work. So the cars are kind of to establish our baseline of range of motion. Our pails and rails, which is what we're gonna do next, is to expand that range of motion and start increasing the strength we have at our end ranges. So let's start with our right leg. And we can try a bunch of different positions. It's kind of going to be up to you to figure out what works for your ankle. The best position to be in would be this combat position. So I have one foot tucked under, and I have one foot in front of me, and this is the leg we're going to work with. If it is uncomfortable for you to sit on your opposite foot, you can either come up into this half kneeling position, and then we'll work here. You can keep a hand on the wall. You can even face the wall if that makes it a little bit easier, because we want to be able to drive this knee over our foot and work this ankle. So if you are facing the wall, this might be a little bit easier because you can really kind of steady yourself here. Another option, and this is probably a more advanced option, if you have a full squat available to you, if you're able to sit in this full squat position, you can work either both ankles at the same time, or you can kind of shift from one side to another. I would definitely recommend, if you already have a good deal of ankle flexion, to work in this full squat position, because then you're really getting the functional the functional movement of sitting in your squat and working your ankles, because honestly, this is probably what you're preparing for anyway, is things like single leg squats and things like that. So this is a really good advanced option. I'm going to show you everything from this combat position, and then you can kind of adjust as you need from home. So we're going to start by pushing this knee over the toes as far as we can. Let me scooch back a little bit so you guys can see. And you want to really make sure that your heel is staying flat on the ground. I would definitely do this without shoes, because in shoes you can really easily just kind of roll over the ball of your foot and lift that heel up. Your heel has to be down. If your heel is not down, then you're not getting any ankle work. You're just kind of working on your toe flexibility. So pushing that knee over the toes, and ideally we want to hold this position for like a minute or so. Just get a good stretch. What you should be feeling here is a stretch in the back of the calf. In the back of the calf, maybe a little in that Achilles tendon. You don't want any pain here, but you want to feel the stretch back here. If you feel pinching in that inside angle, back off a little bit. Pinching on the inside angle is going to mean that that joint may be a little bit dysfunctional, maybe has some work to do before you can go full into this position. So if you feel pinch, back off as much as you need to until you don't feel that, and then you can continue doing this exercise. So finding that end range of motion. After you've been here, I've been talking for a little bit, so hopefully you've been holding this stretch. After you've stretched this for about a minute and a half, we're going to work on our pails and rails. So our pails contraction is going to be pressing the ball of the foot into the ground like a gas pedal. So pressing on that gas pedal for 10 seconds. And then our rails contraction, you're going to start to pull the toes up towards the tibia. So using all those muscles in the front of the shin, pulling the toes up, you're going to sit back and try to recreate that same angle you had in this position, except by using strength of these muscles right here. And then you're going to hold that for 10 seconds. So let's try that out. Let's try 3 times. Let's start in our deepest position here. 10 seconds, let's press down with our toes like you're pressing on a gas pedal. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, and start to ramp up that contraction as you go. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Peel the toes back. Squeeze the shin muscles. Squeeze the toes backwards. Sit back and pull. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Don't relax. Don't relax. Push back into that stretch. So you may notice that when you come back into the stretch, you have a couple degrees more flexion than you had before. Try not to relax the ankle in between your pails and rails contractions. Try to go right back into your stretch here. Okay, 1 more pails and rail, or 2 more. We're going to do 2 more. Pails contraction, here we go. Press into the ground. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shin muscles, peel back, peel back, peel back, peel back, sit back. 10, 9, 8. Now, all of the tension is right here in the shin. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to your stretch, right back to that stretch. You should be feeling a lot of stretch, a lot of pull in the back of this calf. What you also might notice is that maybe you're not used to a ton of dorsiflexion, so that closing angle of pulling the toes back to the knee. So when you come back into that rails contraction, you may feel a little bit of cramping in the shin. See if you can back away from that cramp, but don't let go of the contraction. Keep going. Okay, last pails and rails. Here we go. Pails. 10, 9, 8, 7. Try to break the floor with your toes. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rails. Peel back, peel back, peel back. Pull, 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 pull. 10, 9, 8. Good. Don't lose it. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back into your stretch. Ooh, good. Do you notice a little bit of difference in your stretch? I've definitely gotten a few more degrees of ankle flexion there. Okay, good. Go ahead and shake that ankle out. Get a couple little casual circles here just to shake out any tension, and we're going to go to the other side. All right, so now that we kind of have the idea of what we're doing, let's apply that to this side. Let's hang on to this stretch for about a minute. And again, you want to assess your other ankle the exact same way you did for your first ankle. Really check to make sure that there's no closing ankle pain, no pain in the front of this ankle. We want all that stretch to be back here. Good. And if you want, you can kind of shake this knee around, try and feel different angles of stretch. That's another important thing, is kind of to find where you can get the greatest stretch. Because even though a lot of our work, a lot of exercises are linear, most of our daily movements go in all directions. We can't really account for how our ankle is going to move throughout the day. Okay, now that we've gotten a good stretch here, let's start with our first pails and rails contraction. Here we go, pressing into the ground like a gas pedal. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, this already hurts me, 3, 2, 1, rails, peel the toes back, peel back, try to maintain that exact same angle by squeezing all these muscles. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Back to your stretch. Get a couple more degrees. Good. So you're not gonna, it might not look like I'm doing a whole lot, but if you're doing this on your own, you know all of the work you're doing, all of those contractions are happening internally, and they're intense. They can be really, really intense. So make sure that you find the right amount of intensity for you. If you've already done a huge workout, you've done a ton of squats, a ton of deadlifts, maybe you're not going 100% with these pails and rails today. Maybe that's work for tomorrow. All right, pails contraction. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Rails, peel back, peel, peel, peel. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. And back into your stretch. We've got one more to go. Checking the time here. All right, last one. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rails, peel those toes back. Pull, 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 pull. 10, 9, give it everything you got. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stretch it out. Good. Get a couple more degrees on this side. Awesome. Go ahead and shake that ankle out a little bit. Ooh. What do we got here? All right, so we are going to focus on, so today we worked on dorsiflexion, which is this kind of flexion, this kind of stretch here. Next week we'll work on our plantar flexion, which is the ability to kind of point the toes and maybe sit all the way back onto those toes. So if this is an uncomfortable position for you, we're gonna try and increase your capacity to kind of stretch out your foot in that direction. What I really encourage you to do now, we're just at the end of time, so what I encourage you to do is go back to your ankle cars and see if you can get 5 more in each direction, and just notice if maybe some of those sticky areas have gotten a little bit easier to work with, and just kind of reinforce some of the extra range of motion that you've developed today. Okay? All right, thank you guys so much for coming to 20 Minute Mobility, and I will see you next week. Bye.